The air cracked with blistering heat. Fire! Zenon's voice echoed across the open plains as he lay flat on his back, pointing a single trembling finger toward the heavens. From his fingertip, a colossal pillar of raw, blinding magic erupted upward, a torrent of crimson and gold piercing the clouds with a deafening roar. As the sheer force of the blast illuminated his face, Zenon couldn't help but smile, a mix of awe and self-satisfaction washing over him. This was it, the ultimate dream cannon. He knew it was far too wildly destructive and entirely impractical to ever use in actual combat, but witnessing the sheer magnitude of his own power in the open sky was intoxicating. However, that fleeting moment of triumph shattered in an instant. High above, suspended perfectly in the path of his apocalyptic beam, Zenon spotted a tiny silhouette. A person. Panic seized his chest like an iron grip. "Wait," he gasped, the blood instantly draining from his face. Right in its path. There is something there. Absolute terror twisted his features as he frantically tried to reel in the massive output of energy. Crap, crap, crap. I didn't mean to do that. Is there any way to change its trajectory right now? But just as he braced for catastrophic impact, expecting the heavens to ignite, something impossible happened. The blinding light simply vanished. The roaring pillar of energy was gone, leaving nothing but the quiet, mocking breeze of the plains. Zenon blinked, utterly bewildered. The magic had just disappeared. He let out a long, trembling breath, wiping the cold sweat from his brow. Had he somehow managed to control it better than he thought? He chalked it up to sheer, blind luck, but his relief was violently interrupted. From directly behind him, a slow, deliberate sound broke the silence. Clap, clap. Zeng whipped around, his heart leaping into his throat. Standing there, bathed in the soft sunlight, was a girl. She offered him a calm, almost amused smile. "You're using some quite fascinating magic there," she said casually. Zenon stared, his mind racing to process the sight before him. She had long flowing crimson hair, pointed elf ears, and stood barely 130 centimeters tall. She looked like a little girl, but his instincts as a mage screamed that something was deeply wrong. Since when had she been standing there? He should have been able to sense her presence, to feel the ambient hum of her magic power long before she got this close. Yet she had appeared like a ghost. There was also something nagging at the back of his mind. Her face. She looked somewhat familiar before he could place her. The elf girl spoke again, her tone shifting into something a bit more playful, yet carrying a heavy, dangerous undertone. Even so, sniping me with magic while I was just relaxing up in the sky. That's a rather dangerous way to say hello, isn't it? Zenon froze. The person from the sky. It was her. But how in the world did she survive? How did she instantly travel from the high atmosphere to the ground right behind him? He didn't have time to process it. He immediately bowed his head, frantically sputtering out apologies. "I am extremely sorry about that. I had absolutely no idea anyone was up there." The girl waved her hand dismissively, her posture relaxed and entirely unbothered. "Nah, I don't mind at all. No problem." She paused, tilting her head as her eyes locked onto him. "Well, I've actually had my eye on you quite a bit lately." And then, what do you know? Suddenly, the casual, easygoing demeanor vanished completely. A terrifying, almost manic shadow fell over the girl's face. Her eyes widened with a crazed, obsessive intensity as she leaned in, completely invading his personal space. "What is up with that magic formula I've never seen before?" she demanded, her voice rising in sheer, unadulterated excitement. "Did you perhaps rebuild it from scratch? Even I can't begin to comprehend it. I'm certain it allows for a massive amount of free space in the magic formula's capacity. Did you develop it yourself? Hey, who is your master? How did you dismantle that formula? She was practically vibrating with dark, fanatical glee. It's truly fascinating. Zenon stood paralyzed, his face entirely blank, his soul seemingly leaving his body as a single thought crossed his mind. She is terrifying. Seeing his petrified state, the elf girl caught herself. She scratched the back of her head, offering a sheepish grin. Oops. It piqued my interest and I got a little too heated. As she calmed down, Zenon finally took a moment to truly analyze her. He tried to read her magic power. Normally, a mage's power is visible around the body, radiating like a shimmering aura. For stronger individuals, their magic power swirls forcefully, bleeding into the air around them. But this person was different. Zenon couldn't see a single trace of magic radiating from her. Yet, deep within his gut, he could feel a suffocating weight. It was an intense feeling of wrongness, an eerie paradox of sensing absolute power that was entirely invisible to the eye. Oh, right, the girl said, clapping her hands together and bringing Zenon back to reality. Shall we get down to business? I have a single favor to ask of you. With an effortless flick of her wrist, she conjured a small, pitch-black spherical target that hovered silently in the air between them. It hummed with a dense, unyielding energy. At this target, she instructed, pointing to the dark orb, I want you to hit it with a full-power energy blast. Zenon stared at the sphere. An energy blast was basic magic, a simple technique that shot out pure, concentrated magic power. Was this a test? He could immediately tell, just by looking at the target, that it possessed an absurd, almost illogical amount of durability. Was she a defense-type mage? Whatever the case, she had explicitly asked for his absolute best. Guess it's fine if I just go all out on it, he muttered to himself. He looked at her one last time for confirmation, a spark of determination in his eyes. You're sure about this, right? Here I go then. Zenon stepped back, planting his feet firmly on the ground. He raised his hands, focusing every ounce of his energy into his palms. Release, he whispered. The air around him began to distort, violently pulling inward. Release, release, release. With every chant, the pressure mounted. The ground beneath his feet cracked as an overwhelming torrent of magical energy pulled in his hands. He pushed past his absolute limits, channeling everything he had into a single devastating point. Release, he roared. A blinding, cataclysmic beam of pure, destructive energy erupted from his hands, tearing across the field straight toward the target. It was a flawless, terrifying display of raw power, tearing up the earth in its wake. Standing a short distance away, the elf girl didn't even flinch. She watched the incoming apocalypse of light with a bored, almost lazy expression. Yeah, she murmured softly, raising her chin. All right then. As the massive beam collided with her position, it didn't explode. It didn't shatter the earth or scorch the sky. Instead, she casually raised one hand, summoning a tiny, delicate magic circle right in front of her palm. The method she used to negate Zenon's ultimate attack was completely, unbelievably simple. She precisely analyzed his attack in a fraction of a second, and clashed it with magic of the exact same mass and strength dot in a single, breathless instant. The colossal beam of light silently dissolved into nothingness. The magic simply disappeared, completely canceled out, as if it had never existed at all. The elf girl lowered her hand and flashed him a cheeky grin, forming an okay sign with her fingers. Yeah, not bad, she chuckled, her eyes gleaming with amusement. But you can still go harder, right? Zenon stood frozen, his eyes wide with absolute world-shattering shock. His full power magic, his absolute best. It was completely negated in a single instant. He stared at the girl, his mind finally connecting the dots. He looked past her childlike appearance, past the missing pointy hat, and recognized the terrifying, abnormal strength she possessed. There was no mistaking it. He finally remembered who she was. She was the one who could freely manipulate magic of all attributes. The one who possessed the world's highest peak in both total magic power and magical control. She was hailed globally as the absolute strongest of current. Humanity thought she was the legendary witch, the Royal Academy principal, Nova Mest, and then the most terrifying realization of all washed over him. Zenon suddenly understood why he couldn't sense her magic power earlier. It wasn't because she was suppressing it, or because she had so little. It was exactly the opposite. Magic power naturally fluctuates based on one's actions and emotions. Calming it completely is an extremely difficult feat, even for the most exceptional individuals in the world. However, her magic power was controlled so perfectly, so flawlessly, that it remained almost entirely still, but it wasn't just still. It was vast. Zenon looked around at the village, the surrounding forest, the endless expanse of the sky. He remembered thinking earlier how his magic felt strangely in such good condition today. He looked down at his trembling hands. Now that he had sharpened his senses to their absolute limit, he finally felt it. He hadn't noticed it before because it was simply too massive to comprehend. The ambient magic, all of it, covering the entire village, the landscape, the very air he was breathing. Was this all her magic power? Had he been standing right in the middle of an ocean of her magical presence from the very beginning? Nova Mist floated slightly off the ground, her majestic robes billowing in the wind as she looked down at the boy who had just attempted to shoot her out of the sky. Her crazed, thrilling smile returned, her piercing eyes locking onto his soul. "You, the strongest character in the world," whispered, her voice echoing with undeniable authority and intense curiosity, "really are quite fascinating.